Jobs to be Done is all about understanding customer value and the size of the market. It will help you answer the questions: what opportunity is there in the market for my solution? Are there enough customers with a particular problem you can solve? If you know the answers to these questions, then you'll know if it's worth pursuing an opportunity. Jobs to be Done is a fantastic tool that helps entrepreneurs understand and validate what customers and the market really want. There is a saying: products and technologies come and go, but the jobs people are trying to accomplish are stable. Most jobs that people want done have existed for thousands of years. Take, for example, listening to music. People have needed to get this job done since music was first discovered in ancient prehistory, and will continue to need to be done for centuries into the future. People from different countries, different regions, different cultures are still all trying to listen to music. And this is a really interesting thing. Once we have defined all the measures of success of the job of listening to music, then these measures will apply to all regions. We just need to know how important each measure is and how satisfied people are with the current solutions from different regions. Remember, technologies like records, tapes, CDs, MP3s, and now Spotify will come and go, but the job will always remain stable. That is, I want to listen to music right now.
Hello, Ian.
Hi, Ali.
There's a famous quote by Harvard professor Theodore Levitt. People don't want a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. What does this mean for an entrepreneur?
Okay, Ali, I think one thing we need to be clear about is entrepreneurs are full of energy, they're exploding with enthusiasm. They want to build this amazing product that's going to disrupt an industry, create change in the world. And that's great. But without a winning market strategy, a compelling value proposition, which is specifically focused at an underserved segment of the market, unfortunately they're likely to fail, no matter how good the product is. So before an entrepreneur invests too heavily in a product, they need to learn about what the market really wants. They can craft that winning value proposition and get the right market strategy. Remember, the market does not actually want your product. So, to explain the quote you mentioned, as a customer, then what I really want actually is to get my job done, which is actually display a picture on my wall. So, whilst I'm trying to get that job done, I then discover that I need a hole in the brickwork to place, say, a screw hole. The picture's fairly heavy. Now, I can make the hole with a drill, or maybe a nail, or a hammer, but which is better? So we need to understand, in order to know which is better, how I measure success for creating the hole in the brickwork, and what resources and what time I have available. This is going to determine what solution I go with. However, think about some kind of new strong adhesive picture tool coming available on the market. Now, I don't actually need the hole. So I can display my picture with this new adhesive. In this context, the drill actually becomes redundant. So I don't need the hole. So what we need to remember today is that the market for creating holes is still very strong. So I'm not saying don't think about helping people create holes. But over time, the demand for holes is going to change. So the job, though, of displaying my picture is always going to remain. So the difference between holes and displaying pictures is a question for each business. Where do you focus? Do you focus on a hole or displaying pictures? And that's a question for your strategy.
So what examples are there of entrepreneurs helping customers to get the job done better and cheaper?
Well, they're everywhere, actually. But let's just think for a moment about a specific example. So the invention of the fax machine. What is the core job of a fax machine? Well, there are actually two core jobs a fax machine is targeted at. Send the document to a distant person and receive a document from a distant person. They're quite straightforward. But before the fax machine, the job was still the same. So we still needed to send and receive these documents. It was just done differently through the postal service, right? So why don't we still have fax machines today is a good question, because the solution actually of a fax machine has been disrupted, because there's now multiple digital solutions that can help us get this job done better and cheaper. We use email, right? So now the sending and receiving tasks are done through digital platforms. And over time, we're going to be able to identify more specific subtleties of the job, sending and receiving documents. So you'll get each different document type will be a tailored solution.
So, how might an entrepreneur start to apply jobs to be done thinking?
Well, first of all, it's important to emphasize that jobs to be done is as much a mindset than it is a skill you can learn. And the temptation is just to jump right into your product and your idea and start innovating, building something, which is obviously your ultimate objective. But it's the most important question you need to ask is, does the market really care? Actually, what is a market? And I define the market as the job and the customer trying to get that job done. That's what you need to focus on servicing. So your question needs to be centered around the customer job rather than your technology. One of the things I've been doing for entrepreneurs and innovators is to help them map out this job better. If we look at the DD ride-hailing app example, you'll see how we've used a solution decision map to map out this job. It will quickly help you to start to investigate markets with more structure, ask better questions about how customers are measuring success, how ultimately they're going to get the job done. So here's an example of the solution decision map. So one of the key jobs that a taxi does is help you get to the airport on time. So on the left here we have a group of customers and a core job and a job context that we firstly need to define. The second stage of the job map is to think about what is the measures of success that the customer is trying to create, and that is actually how they're now deciding which solutions are going to help them in their particular context. So as you can see here, we have a context of 5 family members with 5 large cases. Now if you are going to help them get the job done on the train or the bus, those heavy items of luggage and coordinating everyone to get to those transport types is actually going to make the job a lot harder. So the taxi in this situation is probably the best solution. Once you've decided in your mind that to get you to the airport on time in your context you're going to use a taxi, then you then need to use the taxi. So you need to use the taxi system. So we call this a system-dependent job. And on the far right, you can see all of the different tasks that you have to do in order to use that solution. Choose the taxi provider, hail a taxi, pre-book the taxi, etc. Pay the taxi. So all of these tasks have been are a consequence of using the system. Ultimately, you're just trying to get to the airport. So building great tech and a great product is where you want to get to. But firstly, you need to know that someone has that underlying desire to buy your solution. You can't actually engineer that fundamental desire, that fundamental need is there. And job to be done forces you to look through that lens of the market and to analyse, is there a big enough problem that is going to be profitable for us to solve? And then establish a good understanding of what product market fit actually looks like.
So it seems your solution decision map is a great place to start, Ian. What else does an entrepreneur need to do in order to get started with jobs to be done?
So yeah, the solution decision map will help you to start asking good questions. But there's other really important activities that you need to do so you can uncover really important business insights that surround the market, which is the job. These insights include the number of customers that are actually trying to get the job done. Yeah. So how many customers have the job of listening to music? Okay. Secondly, what is the job frequency? How often are different customers in the market actually listening to music? I personally don't actually listen to music that frequently, but I know friends that are listening to music all the time. So different customers in the market have got different levels of frequency. The context through which the job is being carried out. So listening to music while on the run is very different to listening to music in your living room. You need to identify the context through which the customer is trying to get the job done. Finally, there are different willingnesses to pay to get the job done. And that's going to be depending on frequency and all different types of variables which the customer is trying to do, and actually through the different contexts that they're in. These insights will help the entrepreneur to really determine what the market looks like and what actual opportunity is in that market and is viable for them to explore. Over time, you're going to learn more and more through that contact with the customer, but also you should be looking to do a quantitative study to be able to then start to think about the different segments that exist in the market. Ultimately, you want to know which segments are most attractive and how actually you're going to focus on the ones that are most underserved and not actually going to be attractive to your competitors.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Thanks, Alex.